Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're stepping inside a project that's been, well, decades in the making. A truly monumental place set to change how we see maybe 7,000 years of history. We're diving into the sources about the Grand Egyptian Museum, the GM, and its much-anticipated opening.
It really is hard to capture the sheer scale, the ambition here. And what jumps out immediately from the sources is this extraordinary claim they make. They're not just calling it a huge museum. They actually refer to it as Egypt's fourth pyramid.
Wow, okay. A fourth pyramid. That's
Mhm.
that's putting it up there with the ancient wonders, isn't it? That's quite a statement.
It is. It immediately signals this isn't just about display cases. Calling it the fourth suggests, permanence. Like the pyramids, it's meant to be an eternal witness to the civilization.
An eternal modern witness, maybe.
Exactly. It signals a deep investment in, well, owning the narrative, safeguarding this history for the future. The sources also call it a great gate.
A great gate. I like that. It sounds like an invitation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not just a building near the pyramids, but a symbolic entrance. So our mission today is really to unpack what makes this place potentially worthy of titles like that. We need to look at the sheer size, nearly 500,000 square meters, the largest museum for a single civilization, but also what's inside.
Precisely. And the design itself shapes that whole experience from the moment you arrive. It's very deliberate.
Okay, so let's walk through that experience. Imagine you're arriving. It sounds like they don't exactly ease you in, do they? It starts big.
No, not at all. You enter this huge welcome area. The sources call it the Grand Atrium or Bahu Azam, and you're immediately face-to-face with history on a massive scale.
And that means?
That means King Ramses II, a colossal statue, 83 tons of him moved there specifically to stand guard, essentially. It immediately anchors you in the power and, frankly, the grandeur of the new kingdom.
83 tons. Just to picture that. That's like, what, 10 big elephants standing right there when you walk in. Some welcome. So that's the starting point for this journey through, you said, 7,000 years.
Yeah, that's the scope. And from Ramesses, your journey goes upwards, literally, through the building structure itself. This takes us to the grand staircase, Al-Daraj Al-Azam.
Ah, yes, I saw that described. The sources make a point of saying it's not just stairs, right? It's a timeline made of stone.
Exactly. It's a really fascinating design concept. As you walk up, you're physically moving through different historical eras. The ascent is mapped out chronologically. Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom. You feel the progression.
And it's not just architecture. There are things on the staircase.
Oh, yeah. It's lined with statues. 87 major royal and divine figures. So you're essentially walking up through a gallery. Every few steps, another piece of history, another chapter. It makes the journey itself part of understanding the history. Pretty clever.
That really is immersive.
Yeah.
And that climb, that journey upwards, it leads somewhere specific, I assume?
It leads to the heart of the collection, you could say. The part that for many people is the main reason they'll come. The greatest treasure.
Okay, let's talk about it. This has to be Tutankhamun, right? The golden pharaoh.
Correct. And the sources stress one thing above all. Completeness. Unity. This is a crucial point. For the very first time, all of King Tut's treasures, every single piece discovered in his tomb, are being displayed together in one place.
Hold on. Why is that so revolutionary? I mean, we've all seen the gold mask, right? It's toured the world. What does having everything else actually change?
It changes the whole picture. Before, artifacts were scattered. Some in the old museum, some in storage, some being restored. You only saw fragments. By bringing all 5,000 plus items together, you move beyond just the famous shiny burial goods. You get the context.
Context like.
Like seeing the mundane things alongside the sacred things. You can see the intricate nested coffins, yes, but also the chariots he might have used, maybe the clothes, the furniture, the everyday items of a royal court. It allows scholars, and frankly everyone, to piece together a much richer story of his life, his short reign, the rituals.
So it's not just looking at beautiful objects, it's understanding the whole world they came from.
Exactly. The sources say it helps Tutankhamun come back to life in a way. It offers this unprecedented depth. Seeing it all together is transformative.
That's incredible, focusing on the complete narrative. But Tutankhamun, amazing as he is just one part. The museum holds over 100,000 artifacts in total. That's staggering. What about the rest?
Right, and that's where the sheer breadth is important. The other halls fill in the thousands of years around the famous names. They're arranged chronologically, too, so you can journey from prehistory, the very earliest times, through the pyramid builders, right up into the Greek and Roman periods in Egypt.
So it really covers the entire sweep of ancient Egyptian history, not just the highlights.
Yes, exactly. You get insights into religion, daily life, administration, farming, crafts, all the things that kept that civilization going for millennia. It aims for a holistic view, not just pharaohs and gold.
That makes sense. That continuity. Okay, speaking of huge undertakings, we have to mention one specific artifact move. Khufu's solar boat.
Ah, the solar boat. Yes, a true marvel in itself. It's considered the oldest, largest, intact wooden artifact anywhere, really, over 4,500 years old. And
Wow.
moving it from its pit beside the Great Pyramid, that was a huge challenge, extremely risky.
Okay, I need the details here. The sources called the move a miraculous engineering journey. How on earth do you move something that ancient, that big, and that fragile?
Well, it was incredibly complex. You're dealing with ancient cedar wood held together partly by ropes, designed maybe to be dismantled, very fragile. To get it safely to the GM, they had to build this massive climate-controlled steel enclosure around it
It's
first.
like a box, a
Oh,
giant protective box.
sort of, yeah, a custom-built steel cradle, really. Then they used specialized heavy lifting gear, remote-controlled vehicles, I believe, and they moved it incredibly slowly, monitoring temperature, humidity, vibration constantly. It took, I think, nearly 2 days to cover just a few kilometers to its new purpose-built hall in the GM.
Wow. Ancient artifact meets cutting-edge modern tech.
Precisely. It's now resting safely, ready for the Pharaoh's symbolic eternal voyage, but getting it there was an engineering feat in its own right.
That story alone really backs up the idea that the GM is more than just a museum building. It's an engineering project, too, which ties into the bigger picture, right? It's not just for tourists to look at things.
Not at all. The sources are very clear on this. They describe it as a global hub for research, for science, culture, and learning. It's meant to be an active institution.
Active how? What does that look like?
Well, a huge part of the complex is dedicated to conservation and research. It apparently houses the largest, most advanced conservation labs in the Middle East. They're doing cutting-edge work there, non-invasive analysis, studying materials, preserving fragile items like textiles.
Non-invasive. So using tech to study things without damaging them.
Exactly. Things like advanced imaging, 3D scanning, material analysis, maybe even some limited DNA work. They're creating detailed digital records, too. The idea is to use 21st century science to understand and preserve these millennia-old artifacts for the future.
That focus on the future, on continuity, seems key. I also saw mention of a children's museum within the complex.
Yes, and that's important. It shows they're thinking about the next generation, about education. It's about making sure this history doesn't become just a dusty relic, but something living. The sources explicitly mention it as building a bridge between the past and the future.
That makes sense. And the building itself, visually, must be quite something, especially sitting so close to the pyramids.
The descriptions make it sound stunning. They talk about the modern architecture, the way it's lit at night. One source called it a sparkling jewel on the desert plateau, a modern statement next to ancient majesty.
So bringing this all together, the Grand Egyptian Museum, it's the culmination of a huge, decades-long effort. Architecture, engineering, conservation, and this massive historical undertaking to unify Egypt's ancient heritage.
It really is monumental, and it signals perhaps a new era in how Egypt presents its history to the world. The sources give a date for the official opening, too.
Oh, when is that planned for?
November 1st, 2025? That's the date cited.
November 1st, 2025.
Okay.
A date for a place built with eternity in mind.
And that brings us back to that final thought from the sources. They frame the GEM not just as a museum or even a gift. They call it an open invitation. An invitation to explore human memory, 7,000 years of it, laid out comprehensively, maybe for the first time ever. So the question it leaves us with, and leaves for you, the listener, is this. When you can see history presented so completely, with everything in context, how might that allow you to truly see history with new eyes? How might it change what you thought you knew?